Well, hello, Stephanie. I'm super excited to have you on because we have all of your awesome group members on on this podcast, and it's super exciting. And I guess it's like the energy is totally there, and I love it. And I like all the other, all the students, all the members, whatever, they freaking love it. So it's really exciting. But I thought I would get some professional insight from you too, because
Sure.
you seem to have a wider span of just about everything when it comes to the brain injury, because you're a
hmm
PhD, SLP, speech language pathologist, and then and what am I missing?
Nothing. I think that kind of summarizes that. I am the founder of Big, so I
Yeah.
started this support group. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for being so inclusive for me. I know all the members are so excited to be included into your podcast. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for joining and being willing to join.
Anytime.
It's super exciting. So, tell me about your journey into speech language pathology and, helping people and, with brain injuries like me and all the members.
Sure. So it goes back a little bit. I am from Germany, so I got my first master's in Germany, and it was in phonetics. So it's somewhat related to what I'm doing right now, but it was very specialized. I came over to the States through my program director in Germany, and he got me in contact with a professor here at the University of South Florida. So I came over and I completed my second master's and my PhD in a dual program. And I developed the love for aphasia, which is a language disorder, the love of learning about it, the love of working with people during my last year of my first master's. And it just continued. And I was very lucky to have an amazing supervisor, Dr. Jackie Hinckley. And she taught me more, helped me dive into the world of aphasia. And I was able to get clinical rotation spots in rehabilitation centers. So when you work with aphasia as a language order, you are, I feel like, almost automatically interested in other neurogenic communication disorders. And TBI was one of those disorders that really, um, I could really relate to, I guess, everybody that had a TBI, and I could relate to it as in I was really able to work with them and I could understand what they were going through, not from my personal experience, but I could feel it. And I really enjoyed the cognitive aspects of that. So I did some clinical rotations in rehab facilities, and my love for that field grew more, obviously. So I started working more and more or specializing with in aphasia and then also the traumatic brain injuries. And yeah, I love it. I think it's very rewarding for me personally, but then also for the people that I work with, I hope.
Yeah, I would definitely. Oh yeah. So first of all, I want to say I really appreciate it because without your group, I honestly think you would be like just the big group is such a literal big step in our lives, and like the relationships and everything we're building through, person to person and experience to experience, and being able to kind of comprehend the your disabilities and stuff, as in me and the brain injured,
hmm
are it's really good to get an external perspective because then that allows you to build up, like you observing these other brain injury problems is one way to kind of self-reflect as well. And it's really awesome that way, I believe.
Thank you. And I love that you're saying it's a big step in everybody's recovery phase. And I love that. Big came into life through two very young clients that I worked with. I had a private practice for about 2.5, 3 years. I closed down right before COVID. And I had two um, young individuals who suffered from a TBI. One was 18, the other one was 21. And we did great work together and we improved their cognitive skills. But what was really missing was that social connection to others. So I brought them together. We had a meeting at my office. Their parents were together. They were getting to know each other and they enjoyed it so much just talking about their traumatic brain injury and how it has changed their life and how they're coping with it that I thought, well, if they're both enjoying it so much, I think everybody else would enjoy. Any other survivor of a TBI would probably enjoy doing that as well. And obviously, I'm very well aware of other support groups, but I think it's important to have a peer support group, as in have a support group for people of similar ages. And it is very different if you have a very young traumatic brain injury survivor or if you have someone in your age, right? It's a completely new chapter when you're in your 20s. I mean,
Yeah.
that life is just very different. Your mindset is very different compared to even older people or people that are even in their 40s or 50s. So you are all in different chapters, and I thought it was very important for the younger ones between 18 and 36 or 38. That was kind of like my idea for the age range for my group, but it turned out to be really just everybody in their 20s and maybe early 30s, which really worked out. But I think you all have something in common, and that is your interest and your happiness for life. Because at this age, you want to explore life, right? You're exploring yourself still. So um, I started
Absolutely.
this TBI group, this peer TBI group, in the hopes that I could reach out to young survivors and you guys could all connect, which obviously it happened. And that was about almost 6 years ago. So in January, it's going to be, yeah, next spring, it's going to be 6 years. So it's been very successful.
That's super. That's like seriously so amazing, and I thank you so much for that.
Oh, of course. Thank you for being a member. You make a difference.
Thank you. But so I was saying, like I really want to express my gratitude and appreciation for like the difference that you are like manifesting essentially. Like you are giving us the key to, start the car to actually start moving in our lives. And like I believe it is that big and like no pun intended, that big. But yeah, also for the viewers that don't know, the brain injury group is called Big. So there you go.
It is, yeah, for Brain Injury Group. There's not much to it, but it kind of worked out having that as big. But thank you, Holden. I think it made a bit difference in my life because of all the members. Getting you all together is very fulfilling, and it gives me a purpose, and I think it gives everyone who's coming back a purpose. And the members we have right now, all of you have been coming back for years. And I think that says a lot about the relationship that you all have and enjoying your time together, even if it's virtual. I wish it would be in person, but thankfully it's virtually because you all live in different states and you all got to know each other, right? It wouldn't have been possible if it wouldn't have been only in person.
Yeah. Yeah, like for that time like when I lived in Georgia versus like say Zach, we were on like literally the polar opposite of the US.
Yeah.
And he deals with snow. I just deal with mugginess and heat. Which
Mhm.
of course I know like a lot about that because that's how Florida is. And
Absolutely. Mhm.
but yeah, I'm so thankful for like a gift like this and like the gift of you know us being at the like era where when you can do this. Like that is I'm something I'm so appreciative for because like this wouldn't even be like fathomable like in before the probably 2010, I would say, even though that wasn't that long ago, that was a long time ago if you
It
like
is a
think
long
in
time. Hmm.
technologically and stuff.
Hmm.
It's like a whole different game and playing field.
It is, and it's working out really well too, I think. I mean, when we started 5 years ago, being virtual was something we all had to do because of COVID, obviously, but we all got so much better at it, like you said. So I think it's all the activities that we are doing, or the students are offering, I think they're very meaningful and it works online. So,
Mhm.
we had some growing pains, I think, all of us with the technology, but I think we've accomplished a lot throughout the few years.
Totally. Would you say COVID, like how did that swirl things up when with starting this around the same time? Like did you bring or think of this idea or like start the group at the time before or after COVID?
I started my professor position at Galen University right at that time in 2020, and it was supposed to be in person, and I contacted some local SLPs and asked if they may have some patients that would be interested in joining this group. It was supposed to be in person, and I got a couple, and then obviously that didn't work out in person, so I switched it to a virtual format, and it was a blessing because I reached out so many people, and I actually had a member from South Africa, and it didn't he didn't join too long. I think about for a semester on and off, but there were some other things that didn't work out, and for him personally just to join and his severity, but he was there for a few meetings, and I was so impressed because my group reached all the way over to South Africa, and I thought, wow, that's great, because his wife was looking for a support group, and they were in a very rural area, and they couldn't obviously find any support group, so she found my virtual support group, and it was really great for her, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to meet her and her husband, and it was amazing. So it really went far, and in distance, it definitely went
Yeah.
far. And then we reached, I think, up to 12 or 13 states here in the US, right the first year, because there was such a big demand for this.
That's like freaking awesome. I'm
Hmm.
very
Thank you.
thankful for that. And I don't know, like I feel like the impact for, different like person to person, especially member to member,
Hmm.
is so big. And I mean, no pun intended. I
I
swear
know, but you
that
can't help it, right? Because it's so big.
yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's I don't know, like all these things, like it's like the domino effect was all the dominoes were like lined up so perfectly, and I'm really appreciative for that.
thank you,
Yeah,
Holden. That means a lot to me.
yeah. No, thank you.
Well, thank you. I couldn't do it without the members, and that includes you because you've been part of Big for a couple of years now. So, it speaks to the group and the dynamic as well, seeing that all the members are returning every semester. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And my thing with like groups, like because my brain injury, like was in 2019, just 4 days after I graduated high school.
Hmm.
So um I basically didn't I haven't lived in adulthood non-brain injured, which
Right.
is I like you see the like positive and like ambitious side of me is like I like kind of love that because like this is the only adulthood I know and I am manifesting the greatest of it and I'm so proud of like all the people,
You
all the
are.
opportunities, all the love, and I think that's so huge. But so has your ultimate goal of having a brain injured group or support group has that evolved and like through COVID and everything like how because I know you mentioned some of the COVID kind of time period but has your intention and your like the big picture that you see in your head for what big can be, how has that changed and has it changed?
The overall picture of how big developed or started and where it's at now.
Well, yeah, like to like where you like in the direction you see it going, and like has it she like fulfilled like this like mental map that like you
Oh,
kind of
for
had out.
myself. Yes, it has actually more than I thought it would be. I started it without really thinking about the next 2 years, to be honest with you. I didn't know how it would go. I thought I'm going to see how my members perceive participating. And the students are always a big help because they're so passionate about it. And I think it's such a great learning experience. So I think I'm getting so much more out of it than I expected. And that's a very driving force for me as well. Um, that the group has grown over the years to where we're at right now. And obviously we have members that come and go, but everybody always somehow, the members who have been with us for since the beginning, but also in between for just a short period of time, they tend to come back just to say hi, which is really nice. So, and I
Yeah,
love seeing
like
and hearing
Travis
about
and
how they
stuff.
absolutely, yeah, exactly. So, I think how I envisioned it, well, I don't know if I really had a vision other than, putting a group together and seeing if I can somehow support um, the lives of young survivors. And that was my main goal. And I was trying to also have the goal for students, an educational goal, so that they really get to know young individuals with a TBI and obviously some of those cognitive symptoms that everybody worked on so far during their rehab process. But I think both of those goals that I had were fulfilled, but a very big fulfillment because it's been so much better and so much more fun than I thought or I ever expected. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, that's like like double the reward essentially.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, multiple times the reward.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm really happy for you, and like and thankful. Like I mean, obviously I'm very thankful for Big and everything, but like the difference that I think like the impact that the world has from that
Hmm.
is I always like want to swing out like big words, but insurmountable. And it really helps drive the ambition. I feel like this is just for me, but like I see like a support group like Big, both the members inspire you, but then that inspiration of other members, um, others may or yeah, the other members have on you, like further drives it, like it amplifies it, like to like tenfold, like honestly, like some a crazy exponential amount. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know, I think that's just the coolest thing. But
It is. Yeah. It's definitely a different experience. Yeah.
yeah. So has there been any times where like I don't know, like that like maybe like your like inner messages essentially. Like personal, like you to you, that have been like I think you should wane off this or like push it away, or like what has been like the driver like that has really like been like nah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make a big difference.
It started in the first semester because it was so successful. And by successful, I mean when I was sitting in our meetings and I had my students and we always have a pre-brief and then a debrief, and just getting them prepared, making sure, they know everything or the basics at least in order to understand this group and also just kind of testing their knowledge a little bit about TBI. So, I know what they know about the different cognitive aspects and the social aspects and the quality of life because you have to have an understanding for that obviously in order to come up with those activities and it just started in such a good way that there was no question of continuing and I think because of all of you, the members, and then the students, there was never a question not to do it. It was just always a question when and what time. And that was really the only question. And I have a really good friend of mine, Felix Matthias. He is a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, and he has been such a blessing. He has given me the best students so far, and these students have made such a big difference to all of you doing these meetings. But all of you have such a great and important impact on their skills, not only as a therapist, but also life skills, I think. Just seeing how you're all coping with these great life changes that a TBI brings with it, right? And how you socialize and how you guys just wake up every day and say, hey, it's another day and we're all blessed, right? That to me is just such a big encouragement just to keep going. And I've never thought about not running the group because it's just part of my life now for 5 years. You know, it's been with me for 5 years. You guys have all been with me for so long that I don't think I could do it without it. We have some breaks in between, which are great for me to just kind of find students and to plan a little bit and to make a few changes here and there. But it's certainly something that never occurred to me not to have. My only concern is that I don't know how to make it even bigger. You know what I mean? Just to reach out. And obviously
Yes.
that's social media, but I want to reach out to so many more people, and that's really important to me to find new members. And even if they come and go, it doesn't mean that you have to stay for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. You know, you can just pop in. Like we had some members, and you've seen some that
Hmm.
just pop in from time to time just to, you know, say hi and maybe just to socialize a little bit, to get some encouragement, to talk about their roses and thorns. But you know, it's not a commitment when you come in. It's something that I want you all to participate in this group because you want to and not because you have to. And I think that's why everybody's coming back because they want to participate and not because they have to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so actually, like I had just heard you mention roses and thorns. What how did you initially plan that like structure of the meeting and everything? Like for both your students and like what they will do and then versus like then the patients, which I guess you I consider me and like the members. Man, maybe not patients. That sounds I don't know. Yeah, yeah, members.
I think members is
Yeah.
more appropriate for our group.
Yeah.
You know, there are clinical rotations that we do during our educational phase, right? We're in our grad program, and we do um, rotations, or we have groups with different disorders or patients that have different disorders, diagnosed with different disorders. And I just kind of followed what I've learned from my experience and as a student, and then also as a therapist. And I just went by the needs. I had my students, and it was a matter of just kind of finding our way through this group during the first semester. But we did most of the meetings virtual, and then we did have some on-campus meetings that we did during the second year, I believe. Those are really fun too. But then once we expanded over to you know, states that were a little further away, and we didn't want to exclude anyone. We just kept it virtual. But yeah, the structure is just based on the very golden standard of what we do in clinical rotations, what we do in group therapy. And the students over the years have really individualized big. And there's a lot of, as I mentioned before, pre-briefing and debriefing where we discuss things and where I encourage the students to be themselves. I said, put your own twist to the semester, right? And we've seen it over, and you've seen it too. There are some students who just want to put their own twist on it, and they're very adamant about it, and others just kind of refine other students' twists. And I think it works perfectly fine. It doesn't mean that if when you're a student at Big that you have to come up with this new twist or new activity. It's just something I think there are times throughout the years with Big where you as members, because we are very member driven as, and we want to serve you as the members and the students sit with you and they ask, hey, what would you guys like to do this semester? Are there any specific wishes? And sometimes you guys have some activities in mind. Sometimes we'd like to continue with other activities that we've offered before. And that's just kind of how the students get their guidance from you. And you guys are such good educators to the students that you really, do you tell them if you like some things like the TBI quick facts that we had during the first 2 years. And then we have the member spotlights. And then we have just some very individualized little um, ideas that we took over both from you and the clinicians. And I think it's just a wonderful combination of both.
Yeah, that is freaking awesome, honestly. And um, I don't know, like this. It's because it's like a really curious world to start this, which I especially applaud you and thank you for starting this at this time of, I guess the state of the world essentially.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's such a curious and strange time to be to be here, to be humans.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
And I don't know,
But do
it's
we know do we know a different world? I don't know. But the way things have started with Big, I think, and this being virtual, I think, and you're the best example for that, Holden. See everything positive, right? So how can you put this happiness twist on something? And I think you're a good example for that. No matter what life throws at you, just take it with some positivity. And I know some things are obviously a little bit more severe than others, but I think you're a really good example for that. And that's exactly what big is too. Um, you want to use your resources in order to increase your quality of life. And Big is doing the same thing for so many members, and you all work together. And that's why I think Big is such a success that for all you, for the members and the students, that yeah, you're all working together and it's very smooth. And I'm just as grateful as everybody else is for this group because I'm getting so much out of it as well.
yeah, that is amazing. It is it's a really exciting time period, I'd say. But I don't know, I feel like there's like a bunch of different I mean, as with everything in life, like a plethora of branches that can sprout from this. And
Hmm.
that's like super exciting because each branch has the same thing. Again, it is repetitive. Everything just has like a chance to sprout further and expand your options.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I love that. I wanted to also okay, so this one I think might be for like the end of the video. Um,
Sure.
but it's like, what is the best advice you have heard one member give another member, or I guess insight potentially to a student?
That's a great question. I think, well, what I was saying earlier, that I think your positivity has really influenced, I think, the group and all the members. And when you are looking for kinds of or acts of kindness, and it's you have your little own part now as Big, which we are so patient driven that we want to include you, obviously. And the acts of kindness that you have been doing for over a year now, I think, that
Yeah.
is something I think brings a lot of life. And I think it's a really good lesson for everyone to look at life and look at those little things we do, right? And see how far they go. We don't need to take those big steps because big steps are harder to take, and you get out of breath faster as well. And we're always trying to just get to our goal that we're setting to ourselves in a rush, but sometimes it's just not possible. Especially, I think, during the recovery of TBI, you have to take little steps and you have to appreciate those little steps of success, and you have to see this success. And I think if you're setting your goals too high, I don't think you see those little steps that are so successful and that help you achieve that big goal at the very end. But I do think that positivity and those acts of kindness, for example, where you are doing so good during the week, like everybody, that when you're looking at your surroundings, those little things, even if you're just helping a turtle cross the street, right? I mean, those are just little acts of kindnesses that fulfill you somehow. And I think that is something that I have taken in from you. And I look around and I count my acts of kindnesses during the week because I'm so used to it now too. So that is something. And then I'm wearing my bracelets that Gavin gave
Oh
us
yeah, from
every
Gavin.
day a little better. And I think that is a really big step. But you know, I can't really list all of those things that I heard from members because it's always something I think during our weekly meetings, and I think everybody has something to say that would help in the process of recovery. But I think, in general, I think it's really important to find that social support and to communicate with others about your TBI. And I believe a lot of you throughout the years, I've seen that a lot of you find it so much easier now to talk about the TBI, just because it's such a big part of you now. And you guys talk about it during our meetings all the time. So it's really something that comes to ease when you think about it and when you meet others. And that is something that I've learned from you guys that you take it so much more into consideration now that you are part of Big and it has become such a big part of your life, and no pun intended, but such a big part of your life that this has really helped you. And of course, support groups are there so that you, I would say, encompass those changes in life, right? And that you look at this life after TBI with love and the love that you want to develop for this life that you have. And I think you guys have all accomplished that. And there's so much advice that you guys are giving each other and myself and the students because it's a lifelong learning process for everyone. For you on the side of the TBI, for us on the other side, and trying to support you and help you. And I think there's just so much to it, and there's so much individuality. Nobody is the same. You all live and cope with things in different ways, right? And all of your TBIs were different and they were caused differently. So I think you all have been through the same overall um, part, as in our life has changed because of the TBI. But the way you guys are handling life really depends on how your life was before, how you're coping with everything that is going on, and how your social network is. And I think that is very important for everyone.
Yeah, I would agree. Um, so really interesting thing to think about the way the brain injury really closes your mind, like like hyper, you get like hyper focused, or you tend to get hyper what is that called, like the that focus or attention. Obviously, because there's like a million different like factors to consider,
Hmm.
like your memory, lack of short-term memory skills after the brain injury,
Hmm.
especially directly after the brain injury.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much like in the sense of I'm kind of spacing right now.
That's okay.
This is a proving moment right here. And but what I was saying is there's so much I don't know, it is a really overwhelming experience for most
It
people, I
is.
think.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful like to be like I figured if I'm gonna get brain injured, I'm not gonna be able to do like most of like the traditional jobs, the college path, school path necessarily the same. So I've been really expanding my knowledge on a bunch of new stuff and like kind of I don't know, like I know a lot of people would say like woo woo stuff, like
Hmm.
spirituality. metaphysics, whatever. I mean, I don't know. No, don't quote me on that, like being interested in like all the physics because that's not my wheelhouse. But you know, I think there's a lot more value to be considered and healing from the metaphysical attributes and multi-dimensional aspects. I mean, this is kind of my problem right now. Not really a problem, but like what I keep having what I keep having a problem with is I bring up like way too complex uh
Concepts.
theologies
Hmm.
and everything that are like so far from like like the typical mainstream thinking.
Hmm.
But I
But
like that's like a part of what that makes me so excited and it keeps me as like joyful and ambitious as I am because there is a lot of you could say metaphysical or just like spiritual or anything like that aspects to the healing process that have really compounded in my healing speed, and my increased memory skills, short-term memory, um, increased focus, all this, all that nonsense. And it's been a profound thing. And
you have come a long way, Holden. And I think everybody has their own ways of coping with things, obviously, and then finding their own way to recovery, right? So if that's something that you enjoy doing, then you should stick to it, even if it's not the mainstream way, maybe, but it is your way. And it doesn't mean that it's the right way or wrong way. It's your way. And I think that's really important.
yeah, actually touching on that, kind of branches to like what I don't know, a great is a good point. But the way the brain injury with because of the memory stuff, like it is typically recommended by like, doctors and stuff. Like you have a hard term, like you have a more impaired short term memory
Hmm.
and which you clearly know. And so like things that you are passionate about or things that you were, really passionate about before that you have the knowledge. That is like a thing that you can essentially reactivate or re-dig up through your memory. You have an easier time finding that in the vastness of your mind. And it's I don't know, I think it's just a crazy it is it's a fascinating thing, but I think that is one thing that like if people can learn to like with me, I mean, maybe not like directly with me, but like at the same time as me, like we're learning to appreciate life as we are compounding these healing factors and healing these skills and I don't know, thinking strategies or action strategies, whatever. And like I think that will compound into such a wide scale thing, which actually perfectly relates with what you want to do with, expanding into like because you were talking about like the global connections of big, like
Hmm.
the member from South Africa, and like I think that was a great example of like the wide scale wide scaleness. I don't know if that's how you say it, how wide scale it is that you can essentially, influence others, but through that, there is so much reward for you and them. It's not just like you're giving this package to them, now they have it, which I mean you kind of are, but like it doesn't take it from you, which I don't know. Like I think because then so, Sorry, excuse me.
Are you okay?
Um, but yeah, it's a really interesting thing. As I say this, I'm realizing like, it's like your because of the memory skills and everything and the practical sense of things, it's like like the flow mental your thought pattern, your flow, like your focus flow and all that stuff is so different. And it's like
Hmm.
you are building a new pathway. Like no pun intended when it comes to neural pathways and everything.
Hmm.
Um, but like like you are defining the pathway for your future, and because you are doing that for yourself, I believe that has such a global impact, and like your future is everyone else's future, and it is especially prevalent when you really sit back and think, if I hadn't done this thing, then this wouldn't happen, which then, this other thing wouldn't happen. Like
Yeah, how
it's an
everything is
endless
interconnected.
chain link.
Hmm.
I love that. That gives me, that's one of the things that gives me a lot of the drive
Sure.
is realizing all that and, you know, and just loving all that stuff. It's like, really, you're not missing anything as long as you're just loving it. And because loving life
Yeah.
is going to heal you a lot more than hating life. Because the more you
Yes.
hate or you dislike things, talk about how crappy this situation is, that is double like compounding against you essentially.
Hmm.
So like the more trash you talk about your life, basically, the worse it will become. And
Well, you're paying more attention to the negative aspects. And, that is, I think, what I mentioned before with the acts of kindness. You're highlighting little things, and you're not asking for big life-changing acts of kindnesses. And I think the other members have really caught on to that, that it's just the little things. And you think about, oh, what was one good thing that I did this week, right? Even if it's, I don't know, helping your neighbor carry some groceries in, right? So those little things. And I think it's well, it's not a secret, but I think it's the attitude of having this positive attitude that's life changing for anybody, right? I think it is very difficult for someone who has a traumatic brain injury and doesn't know how to see the positive aspect yet. But I think this is where the group comes into play, where you all help each other to heal on a level that we as outstanders or outsiders, as a therapist, for example, or even family members, we can connect in a way that you and all of the other members are connecting because you're all going through it. And I think it has so much importance to each one of you when you guys discuss things and you give each other virtual hugs, maybe, or you are giving some advice, or you're just listening. If somebody has to vent, we've done that before too, right? At a big, and that's what it's there for, to just be there for each other. But I think you guys are interconnecting on a very different level. And I think that is so special that you guys have the opportunity through Big now to actually connect and say, hey, you know what? This is what happened to me too. And what should we do about it? Like, how can we work through this together? So you guys have come to this team building approach, I think. And that is something that I've seen grow over the years, where um, everything just became a little better during the meetings, as in you all have viewed things a little bit more positive throughout the years and have grown so much. So there's a lot of happiness in Big, and I love that. And it feeds me as well, my mood.
that's amazing. I actually touching on that too. I think allowing yourself to become vulnerable
Hmm.
is such a, I think, overlooked thing that's like typically like not even like in your mind. You don't think about that. But that has such a big impact.
It does, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you know, I definitely appreciate that. Learning to have gratitude through for your own thinking,
Hmm.
further allows you to, I don't know, like I think in a good analogy for me is like you know how your mind is constructed, what's like the key parts, but you may not consciously know the way your mind is. But the analogy I was thinking is it's like a Lego set. Like you know how that Lego set, if you say you break a castle, you built that because you have built that before. If you break it, now the pieces are scattered all over the floor or something. But
Hmm.
because you have the even the faintest of memory of building that before or having had built that Lego set, you know where all these pieces go.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's funny. I never really thought about that before, but I'm glad like that analogy is relevant to me because I used to love Legos and
Yeah.
that was a pretty relevant analogy.
There
But
you go.
it's it is a really interesting thing to think about it more from a, I guess, like like Legos, like I was saying, it's kind of
Hmm.
innocent mindset because I think when you approach things from a more sensitive, more and innocent kind of mindset too, you are actually more willing to be more, show yourself some sympathy or show yourself some empathy, ambition, and, fuel that. And I think there's a lot to that. It's just, yeah, you know. And now if wanted to add, sorry,
Oh, you're good. Take your time.
yeah. Um, so okay, actually, yeah. What I have been doing as a part of the podcast, what I do is I have like the guest mention like one thing that like I ask for advice from the guest. So, you know,
Hmm.
like if there was one thing that you could have told yourself, I mean, assuming like, practically like if you were brain injured but you're not. But like if there was advice you could give yourself, what would it be on, I mean, like the whole brain injury thing?
Um, it's I think there are different viewpoints. If you ask me, because I haven't had a traumatic brain injury, but looking at what I've learned from you, and I can only go by what I've learned over my time in this field. And I think when you look at a traumatic brain injury, um, I think quality of life is always something that we are looking for, a good quality of life where we can say, hey, this is, this is where I want to be, even considering any circumstances. But I think for someone who is just getting into this new chapter of their life, if they do have suffered from a TBI, I think it's important to take advantage of resources, surround yourself with others, and it can be very difficult. And there are obviously some outcomes that are a little bit more difficult than others, and I've seen that as well. And I think having support is very important. If you don't have anybody in your immediate family or in your circle of friends that is there for support, I think find help. Find the help through a support group like B.I.G, for example. There are a lot of other support groups out there as well. And the Brain Injury Association of America has a lot of great resources. There are different chapters in the different states. So I think that's a really good starting point. Obviously, going through Rehab, receiving treatment is very helpful as well. But that's a very different topic. But I think, yeah, looking at participating in daily life and having that quality that you are looking for, I think those are the little steps that lead you to that big overall goal.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, of course.
And I'm sure however many viewers like I think that'll help millions if um my projections are happen to be right. You know, I mean,
That would be
that is
amazing.
the goal is to like I'm yeah. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course. You're welcome. Thank
But
you for asking me. I think it's an important question. I don't think there is one answer that fits all. I think it's an overall outcome that everybody is looking for. How to achieve that with support. And that's really the most important thing. As you can see, you have an amazing family. You have so much support, right? You have so much support through all of your friends that you have from before and then after as well. So if you don't have the resources for support, though, go and find them. That I think is very important.
I really appreciate all that you have shared, Stephanie. And like a lot of people are also going to appreciate the insight that you have, you know, put out for us. And this is helping all these people that are, may just feel super lost in the brain injury world, which is
Yep.
a scary thing, but
Yep.
this can be the key. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate you for hopping on the podcast. And we're gonna have to say peace out, Stephanie.
Thank you so much for having me, Holden.